What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video here on Peg City Hockey. It has been a hot minute since we've had a video on here. I feel hella rusty even recording this video right now, but nonetheless, welcome back. Another season of Jets hockey is upon us, and we have lots to talk about. The first preseason game is tomorrow. It's going to be a hell of a matchup just to be able to watch Jets hockey again. Jonathan Toews is a Winnipeg Jet. This preseason is going to be pretty damn exciting to watch that just for that reason alone. Every time I see him in the Jets uniform, it's kind of still surreal. Like, I forget that, he's just here. FanFest is going on right now. It's been a crazy week of training camp, lots of news coming out, but I want to kind of dial things back, and before we really jump into the roster, the players, new lines, new acquisitions, and whatnot, I want to talk about the guys that are already here, and more importantly, what Kevin Cheveldayoff has to do to keep this team competitive. Because obviously in the offseason, outside of the Toews acquisition and, Gustav Nyquist, the Jets really didn't go out there and make some heavy moves. And when you look at who is coming up as a unrestricted free agent, it does bring up that question. Kyle Connor is going to need a new contract very, very soon. When you look at the Jets cap structure, who's signed, who's not signed, the most important players, at this point in time, Kyle Connor is probably the most important unsigned player that this Jets organization has. So you got to go out there and sign it. And I think that we're going to see this contract be signed sooner than later. All the news coming out around Kyle Connor and this extension doesn't seem to be trade bait news. It just seems to be a guy that wants to focus on hockey right now and sign the contract whenever with nothing really bad to say. The situation doesn't really scream like a guy kind of putting the media off his trail, not really answering direct questions. Everything about Kyle Connor and the Jets organization right now, it just screams that this contract will get done. Like, he's not going anywhere. He's a huge part. Even Kevin Cheveldayoff said that the other day in an interview about what the Kyle Connor means to this club. And with the reports that his contract could be up there in the Mitch Marner territory of close to $12 million, as reported by Darren Dreger, that would make him the highest paid Jet in history. You already have Hellebuck and Scheifele making $8.5 right now, so that's, again, pretty good contract for Connor Hellebuck. The Scheifele contract might age not the best, but Kyle Connor being the most highest paid Jet on this team has always made the most sense to me. And you look at with this quote from Mark Chipman the other day, talking about the importance of Kyle Connor, how long he's been a Jet, and how he expects Kyle Connor to be a Jet for a long time. The entire attitude surrounding Kyle Connor, this new contract, and everything regarding around, the fact that he doesn't have a contract, that there is this little bit of uncertainty going into a season with a guy that is, on an expiring deal. We saw that last year with, Nikolai Ehlers. We've seen that in years past with other star players in the NHL. So when you really look at what's going on and what Kyle Connor brings to this club, how important he is as a player, I just don't think the Jets are going to have the situation get out of hand. I don't see a world where Kyle Connor is getting traded. I just don't. And more importantly, I don't see this as another Nikolai Ehlers situation. And I can tell you that because I am a diehard Nikolai Ehlers fan, and the writing was kind of on the wall even in the last offseason. Like, as a fan of Ehlers, as a fan of the Jets, all my videos I made, I was, of course that Ehlers is going to resign. Of course he is, because I was in denial. Ehlers has been my favorite player on the Jets since we've drafted him, for Christ's sakes. I have his jersey, love Nikolai Ehlers, and I wish him the absolute best in Carolina. No hard feelings there. But if you look at Ehlers as a player, the way he was valued by this organization, the usage and whatnot in his entire career with Winnipeg, and then you compare that to a guy like Kyle Connor, they're not the same player. It's not the same situation. Nikolai Ehlers was viewed as the Jets as a guy that, definitely they want him around. They don't want to lose him, but he's not necessarily the guy that makes this team what it is. If you disagree with that opinion, that's fine. I kind of do as well. I think Nikolai Ehlers is a very important part of what the Jets have had going the last couple of years. But that being said, Ehlers is not Kyle Connor. And especially in the eyes of management and ownership. Look at what Kyle Connor's played his whole career. He's been Mark Scheifele's right-hand man his entire career. This goes back to even the Blake Wheeler days, right? Like, Kyle Connor has ever not been on that first line. So the value of Kyle Connor, the usage of Kyle Connor, what he brings to this team, it's different from Ehlers. As a fan of Ehlers, I don't really agree with that point as much. Like, obviously, Kyle Connor's game is different, and you could make that argument that he's a better player. Look at his stats alone, 582 points in 613 games. The guy has been absolutely incredible his entire career. But let's get down, to the truth of it. Kevin Cheveldayoff knows where the value of this team is, and especially with management when it comes to keeping the guys that are happy, that want to be here. And I think Kyle Connor Connor is the definition of that player. I think that when you really look at the entire situation and you compare it, and because I've seen a lot of Jets fans going down this road of, oh, is Kyle Connor at Ehlers, same situation, this isn't good, you know, we're going to lose him, blah, 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 we should trade him, this and that, he's not going to sign. This is a guy that KFC rebranded their entire restaurant chain in Winnipeg to for the playoffs. Colonel Sanders himself was wearing the goddamn bucket on his head for the entire playoffs. Like, when you look at what Kyle Connor means to the city of Winnipeg, to the fan base, to this franchise, he's not the same guy. How many guys in years past have we marketed like Kyle Connor in last year's playoff with KFC? Like, just that alone, the way that the city bought into it, the hype, everything surrounding Kyle Connor, his connection and friendship with Mark Scheifele, and the fact that Mark Scheifele is going to be a Jet for life, just more so even directs me to believe that this management core will not let Kyle Connor walk unless for some reason he does not want to sign here. If Kyle Connor does not want to sign in Winnipeg and wants to leave, the Jets will probably trade him. That's the only situation where it happens, but at this point in time, I don't see that being the case. I think it just seems, you know, Kyle Connor wants to get paid and wants to get paid fairly, and I think that's exactly what's going to happen. This isn't a Kirill Kaprizov, Connor McDavid situation where he's going to be throwing, you know, rejecting a $100 million contract potentially or something like that. Like, that's not going to happen. If the Jets gave him $12 million a year, I don't see a world where Kyle Connor doesn't accept it. I really don't. Now, could he maybe get a little bit more? Yes, but Kyle Connor isn't that guy. $12 million is already a pretty damn big increase for his game. When you look at Mitch Marner's last contract, you look at Mitch Marner's career points, and you look at everything that Kyle Connor has done, I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, in this cap day and age, if Mitch Marner is going to sign for something like that, Kyle Connor should be on that level. I don't think he should be higher, and I don't think that he should be lower. So, you know, if you disagree with the way that the cap payment is on that, you know, that's more so your opinion on the way that, you know, the cap has gone up, value in players, and I understand that, but at the end of the day, I just don't see a world where Kyle Connor is not a Winnipeg Jet for life. You know, the relationship with the city, the fan base, the organization is just so much deeper rooted than anything that Nikolai Ehlers ever really brought to the table. And again, I'm saying that as a diehard Ehlers fan who did so much community work, was loved by this fan base, but at the end of the day wasn't viewed as importantly as Kyle Connor has been viewed his entire career in Winnipeg. And I just think for that reason alone, his connection with Mark Scheifele and everything he's been able to accomplish is probably one of the deadliest offensive Jets in history. You know, when you really look at the points he's put up in his career so far, if he is a Jet for life, he has a chance to go up there and chase even Mark Scheifele's total points and Blake Wheeler's total points. So I don't know why he wouldn't. At the end of the day, I just think that this whole situation is vastly different from the Ehlers situation from last season, and at the end of the day, I think Kyle Connor will sign that contract with the Jets, and I don't think we have anything to be worried about. So let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. If you think Kyle Connor is going to be a Jet for life, or you think the Jets are going to trade him, or whatever you think might happen with this situation, let me know down in the comment section below as always. Thank you so much for watching this video. As always, peace and positivity. As always, go Jets go, and I will see you all in the next one. Jets hockey is officially back.
It'll all be over.